I love Monster Hunter, and something I've always wanted to do is hunt every single monster. Yes, every single one. From Rise to Monster Hunter 1 to even Frontiers. So what's a better way to do it than to document it all? In this series, I will be hunting every single monster, starting with Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. It's going to be a long ride, but I hope you stick around. Without further ado, let's start. We've got the Cephadrome. This is a pissing wyvern that is, from the dunes. It's a sand monster. It is weakest to ice element, just so you know, and I believe it has a very big weakness to exhaust as well. So if you have things that will damage its stamina and stuff like that, that is the best for this monster. Personally, the fight, not a huge fan of it. I'm not a huge fan of it constantly going under the sand, coming back out. Its hitboxes are you can tell it was made in the original Monster Hunter. It has the classic hip check, same as the Plesioth, which will be sadly another monster I will have to fight in this series. But yeah, monster design wise, I like it. It's nothing like too special. It does remind me a lot of the Plesioth. But I absolutely love its armor design. It is one of my favorites. I just love the classic, it kind of reminds me just like a classic knight armor. So yeah, I do quite enjoy it. Regarding the rest of the fight, it was, nothing special. The biggest recommendation is if you have sonic bombs, use those when it's under the sand, just because it makes it so much easier to fight. Because if you use a sonic bomb on it, it will jump up and then it will flop around for a bit because it got like dizzy or it got confused. So that's my biggest recommendation for this fight. Use sonic bombs when you can. If you have them, use them. I think the quest I entered gave me one or two. There's a classic hip check, which I'm not a huge fan of. But yeah, the quest I entered gave me one or two sonic bombs. When you can use them, I recommend them. They just help out a lot. Other than that, fight is pretty standard. Just a lot of making sure you don't get hit by the hip, making sure that you can heal up. He doesn't consistently do damage, so yeah. Another thing, his goons, his little enemies, they spit sandballs at you that do water damage and will give you the water status effect, which basically just it affects your stamina and the amount you can use. It drains your stamina a lot faster. But that's about it for this monster in this fight, nothing too special. And yeah, I mean, I just kind of want to talk a bit about content and stuff like that. And I was actually wondering if, like, viewer choice, but if you guys would rather want something more analytical, a little more like a deep dive into the monster, its specifics, stuff like that, or would you rather have like a short summary of the monster, the fight, and then just me talk about whatever? Because I think both have, their own crowds. Some people like to just listen to monster facts and stuff like that, kind of create a Pokedex, but for, the monsters of Monster Hunter, or, just talk about the fight and then, basically have a yap session where I just say whatever, whatever I'm thinking about at the time, and then have like footage over it, So I do enjoy both forms of the content, and I'd have to look this up, but I don't remember seeing too many of Monster Hunter Pokedex kind of video series. So it might be interesting, maybe do a combination of both, but I don't know how many people would want to just listen to a bunch of Monster Hunter facts and then suddenly get this guy just talking about whatever. So that's kind of what I've been thinking about. And honestly, I think it might be fun to go the more analytical route. I would just have to prepare very well for each video, get all the the facts together and then be able to like talk about it for the amount of time that each fight is worth, you know? But yeah, I would love to hear like feedback on what you guys enjoy watching, listening to, not even about Monster Hunter, just in general, just to get ideas for how to continue creating the content that I make. As of now, I don't have like a set schedule for releasing videos, you know. As of right now, I've only released one, soon to be a second one about the Gendrome, and then this will be the third. Um, and yeah, it's been fun though. Like, I usually just do a batch of recordings where I fight the monsters, and then like throughout the week, I grab one video, I edit it, and then I voice over it. I feel like that's the kind of style I want to go for as of right now, instead of like recording my voice while I play, is to do a voiceover afterwards so I can have like time to focus in the game, and then I can have time to just talk about whatever I'm feeling like afterwards. But yeah, I've also thought about doing Monster Hunter speedruns, not of the entire game, but of fights. You know, I feel like that's the standard for Monster Hunter speedruns. I don't know which one I would fight. I don't know anything about the speedrunning scene for Monster Hunter, but I've always thought it's kind of cool, you know, to like see who can get the monster the fastest, you know, with the build, with the just like also the extreme knowledge they have of what the monster is going to do, like predicting positions, predicting where it's going to go, stuff like that. I've always found it super cool. Now, I don't know what monster or how to do it or where I would even start, but I think it'd be a cool like mini series to do, like try to get a high record in a specific monster fight. I don't know if you guys have any recommendations for a monster that you'd like to see that happen to, you know, like I'd rather not do it with a monster that's like not very fun to fight, like the Cephadrome, you know, or the Plesioth. No, thank you. But there are monsters I think it would be really fun to do it with. Even crazy ones like, you know, someday maybe the Fatalis or something like that, or you know, who knows. But I think it'd be interesting to try to get a cool time. You know, maybe not like the world record, but you know, maybe top 10, top 5 at some point. See how optimized I can get within it. And yeah, I think there are a bunch of like fun hobbies within Monster Hunter that you can do, because not only can you do speed runs, but you can do like um, min-maxing, which is basically just like absolutely maximizing the damage output you can do for gear within weapons, within hunter's arts, all that sorts of stuff. I think that's also very interesting to look at. I always liked that kind of area. I think the numbers and just like seeing how much damage and how quickly you can um, get the monster within a time frame because of how much damage you're doing is always really cool. But you know, I feel like there is a lot of grinding within the min-maxing scene, because you have to get very specific decorations, gems, armors, items, all sorts of things. So there's a lot of setup you have to do for it. But honestly, I think it's kind of cool, you know. Grinding is fun within Monster Hunter, I feel. You know, just constantly fighting different monsters, or even the same one, learning its techniques and stuff like that just to get it as quickly as possible, which is in a certain way kind of speed running the monster at that point. So yeah, I think that would be very interesting to make, like not even just like a series, but just like one, like not documentary, but like a long form video where I just basically talk about how I went from zero to, you know, top whatever in the world for a specific monster fight. I have been watching some like videos about that kind of stuff, but for Mario Kart, it's a shortcut video. I can link it in the comments. It's basically just like a 2 hour long video. He calls it a documentary of basically someone trying to get a top 10 world record for a specific map in Mario Kart, which I just thought was really cool, and it kind of actually inspired me to like, oh, I kind of want to do something like that in the future too now. Now I don't know how well that would do, but At a certain point, I just got to do it because I want to do it instead of for views or content's sake. I think it would just be a fun thing to document and to show off. So yeah, um, obviously not anytime soon. I need better equipment, you know, better microphone, more space in my computer. That is something I've had to deal with is the lack of space in my computer. Each video does get a bit beefy just because of the editing and the size of it and stuff like that. But it's something it's still manageable at this point. But yeah, we're getting about to the end of the fight, just so you know. And now I wanted to ask you guys, what is your favorite food? Just very typical you two. No, but what's something you like to cook or make or stuff like that? For me, I really like making a curry that I found online. It's just like a very basic potato curry. You add potatoes, tomatoes, ginger, a whole bunch of stuff basically. And I've always really liked um, curries. I don't know why they just grab onto me. And, a lot of times they are vegan or vegetarian, and a lot of times they are also gluten free because I am celiac, which means that I cannot eat gluten. And if you don't know, gluten can be found in a lot of things like breads, flour, stuff like that. That's usually where gluten comes from. So it can be difficult to make foods without gluten because a lot of times you either need flour for the cooking or bread as just like a base of the food. So yeah, I think curry is like a very great fit for not just me but for my wife as well because she is vegetarian and therefore I am basically vegetarian as well. And so I really like it. It's my favorite recipe to make. I think I've every time I've made it so far has been good. I obviously am missing certain spices and stuff like that I just haven't been able to find, but I've been able to compensate with like replacements and stuff like that. So yeah, I really enjoy curry, which is something that I never thought I would enjoy, just because like I feel like I'm very specific about foods, and so I thought like curry wouldn't be like my area, but I've tried it multiple times. I've loved all the curries I've had so far. So yeah, um, I gotta just learn a bunch of curry recipes basically because I feel like they're not just. I mean, they're pretty easy to make if you have the ingredients. They're easy to make. They're good for you too, and it tastes good. And it's just very inclusive for my diet and my wife's diet. So yeah, I love to learn more about curries. But yeah, there you go. I got the Cephadrome. Hopefully you enjoyed this chapter, this episode. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one.